is 7 p.m. and I would like to open the January 7th Littleton Reuben Hoare Library Trustees Board meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to the Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is, wait a minute, there it is. Another concern is conversation between residents within chat room, which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so that their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant to return their microphone back to mute. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Welcome.
So having got that out of the way, public participation?
There is no one on there.
Okay, correspondence?
There is none.
Minutes? Did anyone have any comments on the minutes? They looked good to me.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from our earlier meeting, whatever the date was, December 3rd? December 3rd?
Second.
December 2nd. I make a motion, we accept our meeting minutes from December 2nd as written.
Who wants to second that?
I second the motion. I second the motion.
Okay, good. Any further discussion? Okay, then we'll go through. Katrina?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Demetra?
Yes.
Mira?
Yes.
Okay, so it's passes. Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, I believe everybody, I hope everybody got what I sent today or yesterday, whatever it was. Okay, so the Littleton Library Building Fund is $687,202.07. The Reuben Hoare Library account is $7,251.38. And this library construction state funds, do I need to include that? No?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. And that concludes the treasurer's report. Except that they don't include November and December interest allocations. Sean and Anna are working to get caught up on the recons and interest distributions, and we'll get an update for those when they have them ready.
So that means that those accounts have slightly more money in them than that.
It would seem so.
Okay, well, that's good.
And there's also a barth. You should have all received the barth. Did you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Becky, that's it.
Friends report?
There was no Friends meeting in December, but the library auction, the tree auction and book auction, I believe went very well. I don't have the exact figure for how much it raised. Maybe Katrina knows that, but that is all the news I have from the Friends.
Do you have an exact number, Katrina? I have a rough number.
I can't find my notes for the rough number, so I will let you tell me.
Isn't it? I thought it was about 1,600, but I could be high. I think it was between 14 and 16. But
Yeah, something like that. I don't have it right in front of me.
I'll see if I can find it during the meeting.
Sorry, I'm being interrupted by my husband. Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but the online auction actually did better than the trees in person auction typically does. So we actually had a very successful auction this year. Did better than we expected. But I can't pull the number off my notes right now. I will find it.
I will. I'm working on it as we speak. Okay, fundraising and public awareness. So I'll start and Katrina can jump in. So Katrina and I sent out about a dozen or so letters towards somewhere in November, December to some potentially larger donors, and that was fairly successful. We are much closer to our goal. I'm not sure exactly where we're at, but I believe we have are over 950,000 we've raised now, including our pledges. So the end of $1 million, the fundraising is in sight. We have talked about if we exceed the goal, to switch over to include solar panels on the library roof is something we can fund through a fundraising effort. The price of those is the guesstimate we have is probably about $150,000 to add solar panels to the library. So we have done research on that. We have Littleton Electric has approved that we put them on. The roof is set up for it. And even if we do not do solar panels at the time the library opens, the new building will be all set to go for solar panels, to the point of, I think it's basically putting them on the building and hooking them up on the roof and hooking them up in the basement. There should be no other work that's needed. That should be the state we're in. So we're looking at, for fundraising, we're looking at, potentially raising additional funds for that, and we're looking at grants. Do you have anything to add, Katrina, on fundraising? Oh, well, we can start more on that too.
Other than you moved the goalpost for me. No, you've summarized everything that we've done. And then the other piece, and I don't know if we want to hold off on this for later, but Mark and I met yesterday with Sarah and we started making a task list. We're at the end push for fundraising for the $1 million, and starting to kind of month by month, these are the things that need to get done. And we need all hands on deck if you guys have some time to help us with some tasks. So it's just, Mark and I can't do it alone. Sarah's pretty helping, but she also, her time, we can't do it all, just us. So I started a task list and then was hoping that you guys might be able to help us with researching contact information or of small businesses, how to get, or local businesses, how to get in touch with people. There's also some pledges that are outstanding that we should follow up in with those people just to see where they are at, to make sure that those monies will come in. Judy Grandy just sent a business list. So there's a whole bunch of new targets that we could pursue. So we need some hands on deck if you guys can give us a hand.
So what Katrina and I would like, so what we talked about doing is basically for the month of January, focus on reaching out to local businesses and say, we haven't really done much reaching out to businesses to get them to pledge for the library, and we'd like to do that in January. So businesses typically have two ways of reaching them. One is, we can send them a letter and reach them, or some of them have, larger businesses have like grant or grant applications you can apply for. So what we need help doing is finding out how to reach these businesses. If there's a grant application, someone either doing the grant application. I think Katrina and Judy have done some in the past, so they can help do them. But for the others, I don't mind writing a letter and sending it out, but I don't know who to contact for a lot of these things. So we need hands to help us figure out how to reach the businesses so that we can do that, right? Looking for volunteers because Katrina and I are pretty much maxed out on this, and it's getting to be a little overwhelming at this point. So don't all raise your hands at once.
I was just going to say, I know I've been, harder to, I've kind of been struggling a little bit, but I'm happy to help if you guys can give me like some specific tasks. I see Katrina shaking her head. I'm happy to help, but I'm having a really hard time sort of like being I need direction. So if you can give me direction, I will have a list and I will do what I need to do, but I'm not good at at the moment self-initiating because I've just got work. The shift from part-time to full-time threw me a lot more than I expected it to. So I'm still struggling a little bit with that.
So we can get you a list of things. So we can get you started. So we have the list of local businesses from Judy, and we'll help you go through figuring out, how to do that.
You can tell me what to do. I'm happy to do it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, same thing for me. So let me know specific things and I will do it.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
definitely think we can break this down into those kind of can you this week research these 10 businesses or whatever. So it could be that you check their website. It could be that you just need to call and say, hey, I'm wondering how I can get in touch with your owner. And so we can send a letter, things like that. Hopefully it won't be too overwhelming, but that kind of stuff I know I just don't have time for anymore. So, and we can do the writing and the mailing and that kind of stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, so thank you. So that's our push basically for January is to reach businesses. We need to figure out exactly. So later, probably in the March timeframe, we'll be doing a final push, get your name on the wall type thing before we have to, kind of close that before the wall goes to print effectively, right? So that'll be coming up at a future meeting. But right now we want to reach the businesses. And we have the naming list we'll send out to those as well. So thank you, Mira and Chris for helping. Is there anything else on the fundraising, Katrina?
I think that's the big push.
No.
I can't think of anything additional. There are some pledges. I'm going to run some lists too. So it could be not just researching business, but some follow-ups of the pledges we haven't heard from yet. So I don't know if their emails are going into trash or something, just making sure that people are able to still contribute their pledged amount would be great.
Okay.
If raise my hand.
Go ahead.
If those particular the pledges you're worried about, if they don't come in, is there any way to predict what kind of effect that's going to have on our total?
We need to run the report, I think, to see how many are outstanding or how many are partial. It could just be that they didn't pay last year, but they paid the year before. It's just little prompts. So I don't remember there being that many that were totally outstanding.
So right now we have about $110,000 in outstanding pledges, right? So I said we raised about 950, which means we've collected basically little under 850 or 850-ish, right? So so that's what we're short effectively on in cash on hand is the pledges minus what we haven't raised yet. A lot of Sarah and Katrina did a lot of work in December to send out lots of reminders and a lot of get your pledges in now type thing. And I will say that was incredibly successful in getting getting pledges in. And it actually also got I think we probably got about $20,000 or $25,000 in new pledges from that push. New pledges or donations. So it was extremely successful. So we need to keep that up. So the question, so Dave,
Yes.
so like I said, there's 110,000 basically that people have said they will give us that they have not, right?
Okay.
So if all of a sudden they turned off, then we would have to figure out how to come up with that money. But that's not a lot of people. We told them they had 4 years to pay, and they're in year 2.
Right. Understood.
So it's where we're at is not unexpected.
Okay,
right.
that's fine. That's fine. So that's good.
We are on pace for that piece. And the other piece that when I was going through Little Green Light the other day, there's a lot of small donors who are not far from leveling up to the 1,000. Like they've contributed small amounts over the time, over years. And you're like, well, if you could give a couple hundred more, you could get your name on the wall kind of thing. So I don't expect those to be room naming people or whatnot, but I'm trying to think through how a strategy to maybe entice some of them to level up to a $1,000 level so they get their name on the wall. And I know some of those people personally, and I know they're library people. So it's one of those, like, how can we get to them? How do we get them to see if they can just give a little bit more just to get as part of the community on the wall? So I got to think through that strategy, but that's on my list as well. Probably for February. I can't do everything in January. That might be a good February. Love your library month. But.
And just as a follow-up here, if Sarah's created a spreadsheet of, it's not quite by month, but over the course of the past year of how we've been doing on our fundraising. And if I look back at roughly this time last year, we had about $825,000 we've raised, and we had a little over $160,000 in outstanding pledges. Now we're over 950 and have 110,000 in outstanding pledges. So when we, people basically contributed, $50,000 out of their pledges. So we could roughly expect, another $50,000 in pledges in 2021 and 2022 to come in, right? If we go by that ratio, right? Some people have asked to extend their pledges to 2023, and I don't necessarily see a problem with that. We'll just have to work that out as it comes through. So I don't expect it to be a large number going into 2023 necessarily, but if people say, I want to donate money over 4 years starting now, and you say, I don't see a reason to tell them no.
No, absolutely not.
I will say, yes, please.
So, I think that's it for the fundraising. So, Katrina or I will reach out to Mira and Chris with more instructions in the next couple of days.
I'm getting myself organized probably over the weekend, and then I'll send you guys instructions.
Okay, building project updates. So I believe all of the steel work is in. The floor has been poured for the second floor. If you go by the library, you'll see that the ground floor is kind of plasticed off. And I think that was partially for the concrete to dry, but I think they're doing other work down there now too. They have started putting insulation on the roof. And as far as I know, everything is more or less on track still. I only made part of the last meeting. Do you have any more details to fill in, Sam?
No, we're just waiting on deciding interior colors and the color scheme, millwork, that sort of thing. Still no word from the architect about that. That's about it.
Yeah, so hopefully that was actually supposed to be done by the end of the year. So the architect's falling a little bit behind on that, I think. So the color scheme should be coming out soon, hopefully. And we probably need to, I would guess somewhere around beginning of February, we need to start finalizing the furnishings inside too, right? To make, so from the building itself, we seem to be within budget. Just we haven't. They're not. So from the construction perspective, they have a lot of contingencies, and most of those are they worry about getting you out of the ground. We haven't spent a large portion of the contingencies and seem to be doing very well on the budget that way. And they're not expecting, since we're basically framed and everything, they're not expecting a lot of surprises anymore. So they believe we're doing well on the budget. We have a few minor changes that we've been putting in. One of the things, by the way, Sam, I was just thinking today is we might want to visit whether we want a sound system in the meeting room, right? If we can pay for that out of extra funds we raise, we should see how much that would cost and what we need to get ready for that. So we might want to revisit that with Kirby and Phil to see how much it costs and what it would take to retrofit in. I don't know what the next stage on the building is. I think they're going to start the exterior sheathing soon, aren't they?
Yeah, I think I heard Al say that we're going to frame the walls soon, and the exterior. Start doing the exterior.
So if you go look at the project, I suggest you go look from the parking lot, but also go around to the path and look, because the building's quite impressive from down by the path as well.
They're willing to give us a tour once they get the stairs in, so in like a month or so.
The exterior stairs are in, I believe, aren't they?
I haven't seen it. I'm not sure.
So I think they were pouring those or getting ready to pour those. So, any questions on the building? We're still on track for a late summer, early fall opening. I believe Commodore wants to get it done as soon as they can, because the earlier they finish, the better off they are. So, any questions?
No. Just a concern or a little bit of a worry, maybe. You know as well as I do, or everybody sitting here knows, that the fire department and the police department buildings have, although they're almost brand new, they've both had serious problems. Okay. And I said way back at the beginning of this that we wanted to avoid that. So how do you think that that's going? It's kind of a throw out question there that you can't really answer, but I get a little bit nervous.
Okay, so the concern with the fire department, well, I know the concern with the police department is that they set like the mortar on the bricks when it was too cold and they used the wrong mortar or something like that. And there's been issues with that. So we keep raising those issues with with Commodore and the OPM. They believe they have it all under control, right? And are doing things the right way, and it won't be an issue. Not being in the construction trade, I can't tell them whether they're right or not.
Right.
But there's a lot of representatives from the different organizations, like Ed Mullen from the building department is kind of attends a lot of these meetings and listens. And the PMBC is involved too. We're trying to make sure that everything going as far as, I don't know, I don't know the right way to put mortar in the winter, but apparently there is, and I'm hoping the people that know are overseeing the things properly, right?
Right.
That's
right.
where I don't know enough to say this is a good idea or a bad idea, and we're trying to make sure that the people that do are weighing in appropriately. So.
Okay.
The concrete is not a concern in the winter, but it's the mortar. So
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about like the problem with the fire station. I mean, we're not going to have a shower, but they put in a shower at the fire station that And all of these showers, they have a tub that comes up the sides so that the water doesn't leak out. That's called the tub for the shower. And then they fill in the walls after they set that all in. Okay, and when they set that in, they didn't put anything in the wall to keep the water out. So as soon as the wall got wet, it pushed through, and there was nothing in the back of it but a big hole. It was like kicking a hole in your bathroom wall. You know, it was just because somebody missed something. And it's you know, it'll be the small things like that, you know, and there's nobody really watching that kind of stuff because nobody can be there all the time. We don't have a clerk of the works, do we?
I believe we do. I believe the fire station had one too. So the advantage we have by going with the CM at risk is Commodore is actually overseeing a lot of this. So when we go to these, so we have a meeting every Monday that has the architect, the OPM, and Commodore involved, and they go through a checklist, very detailed with a lot of questions, and Commodore finds a lot of things that some of them minor, some of them fairly major, you know, or more major that, you know, disagree between construction versus architect, right? And they basically stop until it's resolved on, you know, so there's a lot of things like that. That doesn't solve, so I'm thinking problems like this water thing that would be solved by Commodore doing due diligence. They seem to be really good at what they're doing as far as that good due diligence. As far as the problems with the police station where they're using the wrong mortar, we're hoping that everyone's doing the right thing, but you know, not being in the construction trade, I can't say that isn't going to happen. Commodore has done a lot of work. Commodore is very well aware of the issues with the police station and the town's feeling around this, and have been responding. They're very sensitive to what the town's concerns are and have been addressing them to my satisfaction and hopefully to the PMBC's.
Right? Okay, fair enough.
And the building departments. So.
Okay.
So.
I'm good.
Okay. Any other questions on the building? So. Okay, so we'll figure out when the stairs go in and people can go for a tour. I will tell you that having walked around the thing, you'll walking around and say, at various stages, you'll say, this is really big, and then you'll say, this is really small, right? And it just kind of feels weird, right? Yeah, so just be forewarned when you're walking around.
Just gonna have to wait till it's done. We can go in and see.
Yep.
This is a good public awareness time to take those pictures to get out there, though. Raise some fundraising at the same time.
Yes. Trustee updates. Do you want to start, Mira? Anything?
Sure. Both of my kids are doing the winter reading program, so they are excited about that. I saw this on the director's report, but we attended the tea in the tea thing. I forget, but that was really interesting. So we all enjoyed that and liked the tea. And again, the puzzle table has been fun. I picked up 2 really, really challenging puzzles that will keep me very busy for a long time. So I think that's a great thing to have. And I've also gotten rid of a lot that I didn't know what to do with. So good stuff. Thank you.
Katrina?
I have been doing the fundraising thing, so what time I have for the library has been there. My son's still enjoying the 3rd grade book club, and I did overhear the other day in both of my kids' remote school days that they were talking about the winter reading program and getting the kids to sign up. One of them was actually assigned to go sign up, so I don't know if they had an influx of readers that day or not. But so it's been fun to kind of hear, but from the school end of things, the communication's coming through, which is nice.
David?
Well, I don't have a lot. We're just trying to keep our heads down and stay away from catching COVID and all that kind of stuff. It's not easy. Jean comes home every day, you know, and I say, how was it today? She goes, okay. And that's about it. Things are going smooth. Just waiting for 2022.
Chris?
I don't really have much either. Kind of the same. Just trying to get used to my new schedule. The same day that I started full time is the day that we started working fully remote from home. So that's been a little bit of a challenge for me work wise. We've been not a ton, but we've been using the library, the pickup, getting, reserving the books and picking them up. So we actually have a couple of overdue things that I have to bring back. But aside from that, just happy to see you all and hope that hopefully we don't have to wait till 2022 for things to get a little bit better. So that's it.
Demetra?
Nothing much here either. I guess the big news in my household is my first grader switched from remote to hybrid. And even though he hasn't officially gone into the schools yet, it's been a really good transition. So that's basically it.
From my perspective for the library, I spent quite a bit of time on the fundraising and doing a lot of investigation around the solar panels and things like that. So thank you. We sent out the Christmas cards to all the staff. Thank you for everyone for helping with that. We actually being empty nested Christmas and not having, we actually got together with Andy Kern for a walk in the woods in the rain on Christmas Day, which was a nice seeing her outside of the library. So that's about all for me. You're up next, Sam, with a director's report.
Okay. Well, I was out for most of the month, so it's kind of short, but there was an issue in the children's room with the heat. Had to do with the heating system and a broken pipe, but that seems to be resolved now. On January 19th at 9:15 p.m., I'm going to present the fiscal year 22 budget to the joint meeting of the select board and the FinCom. So I'm just preparing for that. As far as adult programming went, the author talk with Ashton Applewhite went very well with the COA. That had 25 patrons, and the Adventures in Tea with Judith Taylor, Helen's program, had 98 attendees. It was great. And an upcoming program is the Chair Rocks book discussion, and that'll take place on January 15th at 10:30 a.m. via Zoom. As far as the budget goes, we're doing pretty well. We're pretty much on track as far as payroll goes, and town materials spending is going well. And yeah, the rest is just stats. Any questions? Anything from the report?
Short and concise. There you go.
You're muted, Mark, if you're saying something.
I had a couple questions on the budget. Did we decide to go with the level budget, or were we asking for potentially more staffing as we were moving into the new building? The staffing that we had asked for last year that ended up cut.
That's what I submitted originally.
Do you want anyone with you at the talk? We might want to at the talk, if we're going with a level at the talk, you might want to say, ask about the potential for new extra hours as we go into the new building. Not that we need more people, we might need a few more hours, right?
Sure.
And if you want someone else to attend with you, just let me know. And
no, I can share the Zoom when I get it. I presume it's over Zoom. I'll share it with all of you. Whoever wants to attend is more than welcome.
Okay. And I don't know if you want to cover this under the COVID updates, or we could talk about it now, the stuff about the CARES grant. What's going on with that?
Right. So I know as much as you do right now. They haven't really contacted me either. But originally the CARES Act was supposed to end on December 30th, and we were attempting to get new carts and computers, and I was also looking into getting the locker system for the exterior of the building. Now the CARES Act has been extended, and so we have until next December 30th to attempt to get that. As of right now, I haven't heard anything from either Anthony or Joe or Cheryl about it.
But the HEPA filters that we bought before, they did cover those.
Yeah.
So,
they did
so
too.
at our meeting in November or whatever, we allocated money for the HEPA filters, but we didn't need to spend it because they're putting that out of the CARES.
Yeah. So what they told Susan to do was to take it out of MMDT, but then they'll put the money back in there.
Okay. Okay. So for those that aren't aware, the conversation that Sam and I have been having, so at the end of the year when there was a big push to get spend the CARES, we came up with things that we could use either in the existing that we needed for the existing library that would also transition to the new library, such as new shelf, additional carts, and potentially technology that would work in the new library, and the lockers. So we submitted those to the town, and then it kind of hit a wall and the holidays. So we're still pushing to see what we can get from the town, potentially separating the three things we talked about, the technology versus the cards versus the lockers, into different pushes to see if we can get the town to use some of the CARES money for that. So that's going between Sam and I pushing on the town side to get the money allocated. So, okay. Anyone have anything else on the director's report? Do you have a report, Helen?
No, I really don't. It's been pretty uneventful, and we're just chugging along per usual. So
Any upcoming programs?
it's going to be hard to top the last one. The last one really worked well because it was a combination of a craft and a program. So I've got to put my thinking cap on. Open to suggestions.
Okay. Okay, nothing else, we can move on to the COVID updates and the reopening plan.
Okay, so I know last month we talked about opening next week for allowing patrons in by appointment, 6 patrons at a time, 3 hours out of the week, 3 hours per day for 3 days out of the week. After discussing that with Katrina and Scott, we think that because of the recent spike in COVID updates due to the holidays, the new COVID strain, maybe next week isn't a great idea. I spoke to Scott about it. He said maybe wait until the end of the month or next month to think about opening again for browsing, and to also discuss it with the Board of Health. I contacted the Board of Health, and they said that just to let them know when we want to get on their agenda, and we can do that. So, any questions about that?
No, seems pretty straightforward. You know, things are spiking like crazy. You know, like you said, the new strain and all of that, and difficulty getting vaccinations. So
Yeah,
it's not a real good scenario.
Yeah, there are a lot of local libraries that were open for browsing, and they went back to curbside for a while, and they're still back at curbside. So, you know, I think it just makes sense right now to at least wait a month.
Yeah.
See how things go.
Yeah.
So just to play the curmudgeon that I am, so I'm in favor of going to the Board of Health. I can understand not opening next week, but I think we should go to the Board of Health and plan on opening at the end of the month.
Nope.
The rest of the town hasn't changed their strategy on how they're open. Even with the spikes, no one is shutting down. So I'm not sure why we shouldn't be opening. I understand that things are worse, but no one is going backwards in town as far as their opening. We're just saying that we're not going forward. I don't know why we're behind the rest of the town, and I'm not sure why we should be behind the rest of the town and continue to be behind the rest of the town for the foreseeable future. So if the rest of the town was closing down because of the spike, you have an argument that we shouldn't be opening for a longer period of time, but they're not. They're staying on their schedule, right? So when we had the meeting with the staff before, they said, one of the things they said is, we should have opened in October and then it wouldn't have been so bad, right? Because the numbers weren't so bad, and people, no matter when we open, people are going to feel uncomfortable because the numbers are going to be high. That would have been true if we opened in September, and it would be true, just as true now, even though the numbers are much worse now, right? So I still feel we should open sooner rather than later. Going through and getting whatever checklist from the Board of Health seems like a reasonable thing to do, but I don't know necessarily that we should be keep postponing this every month. When we had the meeting in December, we said we would postpone to January and we'd be opening unless the governor said no, basically, and the governor hasn't closed libraries, so.
He hasn't closed them, but he has reduced capacity in them through
Yes.
January 24th. So I fully support just holding for a few more weeks. We were doing computers by appointment, and that might be something. And let me back up. Our plan has less capacity. Even if all the staff and the 6 people are in there at a time, we're way below our capacity for the current low level. So we still have lots of, all of those layers of mitigation strategies are worked in there. I do think, I agree with Mark somewhat that we had computers open and we've taken them away and we haven't reopened them. I don't think this next couple of weeks is the right time to open it right now to people sitting in the library and, hanging out on a computer or browsing. But I think next month, we'll hopefully know the impact of the holidays, and we won't be we should be steady is the prediction.
So if we're waiting till next month, let's say we're waiting till pick a date next month, then I think we need to go back and throw the stake in the ground that says we're opening unless the governor says no, right? Because I think that we threw that stake in the ground this time and we're ignoring it, right? So I'm a little frustrated that I understand the concern about the numbers spiking, I really do, but the governor really didn't change anything from our perspective. Even with the reduced capacity, we were already planning on opening below what's still the reduced capacity number. So we are being extremely cautious, and to say we're not opening because of the increased numbers, we're still well below the guideline. So I'm not sure what we do to finally open. And I understand the staff being uncomfortable and everyone not wanting to be reopened, but the school was the exact same way when they were open, and I'm sure a lot of the teachers tell you that they're not happy to be open now, but they're also learning to live with it and getting along with it, right? There's a lot of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt factor in here versus that's my opinion. So I think, at a certain point, you just have to bite the bullet and do it. And we just seem to be afraid to bite the bullet.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Katrina, I was talking to Sam today, and we were talking about the vaccine. Where do people such as library people fall in this? Because we are direct public servants.
That's a great question. And I hadn't looked it up. So I just looked it up, and unfortunately it is unclear on the state's website where exactly you fall. they do have in phase 2 teachers, transit, grocery, utility, food, agriculture, sanitation, public works, and public health workers. I don't know if that's going to be opened up to other public employees or not, or what. There is individuals with 2+ comorbidities and or 75 or older would get in the next round. So if there's somebody in your staff who's at high risk because of comorbidities, they will be in the February to April group. I'll keep my eye on this because the minute we can get you guys vaccinated, I will feel better. So if there's anything in town, and if you guys hear of anything with the staff in town getting vaccinated, I really encourage you guys all to jump on that opportunity. But right now it's not specified for phase 2 yet. So, unfortunate.
All right. Just a question. I heard Demetra say a while ago that her kids, one or more, were doing hybrid. Is that true? Yes.
Yes, my first grader. I
First
switched
grader,
him from fully remote to hybrid,
Okay.
and he will be
and the
taking the
hybrid,
bus.
and the hybrid was available. Okay, because I've been given to understand that the high school is all back to Zoom. Does anybody know about that?
There are high schoolers who chose to go to full remote for their education, but that was because they were not happy with the social dynamics in the school, is what I understood.
And the entire district is remote this week.
Yes.
So everybody this week is remote, but there's a school committee meeting on right now. I don't know what they're talking about, but
they're talking about next
plan
week,
is
but
to
the
go
plan
back
is to reopen.
to reopen.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I
but
can
this
tell you,
week,
I have a high schooler, so I can tell you up until before Christmas, she's been on hybrid, 2 days a week, and the rest remote. They, as the rest of the school district did, they stayed on hybrid. I mean, they stayed on remote this week, unless the school committee changes the plan. She plans to go back in on Monday for hybrid, Monday and Tuesday. From our perspective, it's been going very well.
So to answer the question, David, I get the impression that the high schooler there are more high schoolers who decided to go fully remote over the fall, but that wasn't a safety issue, as they just preferred working.
no, I was talking to my son and he said they were all Zoom this week. I asked him how was it, and it's easier for him to teach one or the other, but not very easy to teach 3 kids in the room and 3 kids on a computer. So I that's all I heard was that he was totally Zoom this week. So
yeah.
I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, the schools went remote for everyone just after learning after Thanksgiving that we might need some time between the holidays and being back in the building.
Okay.
Which we're giving. Right now we'll have time for the librarians too.
Right. Right. So I think maybe that time is important, but I do agree that we need to pick a date and then stick to it and go with that.
So the current thing, the governor spoke today, and the current rollback restrictions are in place until January 24th. It's still 25% capacity, and we are well below that, even if we open today. But so like the week of January 24th seems like a reasonable week to discuss whether that's the week or after that. And that's 3 weeks after New Year's. That's should be enough time to see what's happening. And that's what happened after Thanksgiving. There was a spike and then it leveled. And the
So if we
anticipation is the same thing again.
If we set this date now, today, then we have to have another meeting before the 24th. What happens when we get to the 24th and it's all messed up?
So I would say that we either pick a date of like the 28th, which would be that Monday, right? Or
25th is Monday.
The 20th. So pick the Monday to say we're going to pending Board of Health approval. We open the 25th, and if Sam says there's some reason we can't open, or Sam and Katrina say there's some reason we can't open, we call a special meeting to say to get agreement that we're not opening then, right? Otherwise, we just pick the date and go with it, right? if people want to go and attend the Board of Health meeting with Sam and or Katrina or whoever and hear what they have to say and, come back and say, they really don't think we should, and here's why, and we should postpone the date, then we'll call a meeting to postpone the date. But let's throw the, line in the sand that we're going to open some other date. If it's not the 14th, 18th, or whatever we're picking, let's pick a new one. That's the line, and that we're going to stick to, unless we, call a meeting that says we're not. That would be my suggestion.
I make a motion that we set the stake in the sand for February 8th, which is a Monday, which is a few days after our next meeting, which is on the 4th. That's a motion.
Anyone want to second it?
Wow.
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that, David, for me? Motion
I
to
make
set a
a-
date of February 8th.
I make a motion that we set a date of February 8th to open the library, which would be after our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is on February 4th.
I'll second.
Okay. Does anyone want to talk about that date anymore? Are we good with that?
Well, it's not very much longer a wait than the day you were suggesting, which was what, the 28th?
25th.
25th? It's not
So
that much
2
longer.
weeks after that.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the 25th is already 2 weeks. What were we aiming? So we were aiming for the 11th, the week of that.
We were aiming for the 14th as
The
the
14th.
date, which would be next Thursday.
Okay.
Well, and maybe this isn't talking to the motion, but could there be consideration of reinstating some computer times for people who need access to computers before that point? So browsing in February 8th, but computers maybe the week of the 25th.
That's possible.
I know Sam and I talked about maybe ways to make the computer area even safer. So we can keep working on that too.
Yeah.
How does that impact the motion? Does it not? Would that be a separate motion?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, and I could amend it, or you guys can make a motion to allow computer afterwards, to open that up afterwards, just to keep the motion simpler. It's up to you.
Either one works for me. If you want to say we open for computers on the 25th and browsing on the 8th.
Okay, all right, I'll make a motion that we open the library to computers with whatever reduced amount is available by the state, and recommend, and also motion that we open the library on February 8th, which is 4 days after our February 4th meeting.
And you still second that, Chris?
Sure. So so the motion is to set the date of February 8th to reopen the library for browsing. And for which date for computer?
January
25th.
25th.
January.
Computer access at whatever level is deemed appropriate.
Well, we didn't have, so going back to capacity level, if you keep those 6 appointments that, there's 6 slots basically, and we didn't have a lot of people wanting those slots before. So I think you're going to be fine to reopen with computer access for people who don't have computers right now is probably a good thing.
No, that's good. So I mean, it wasn't even being filled up before, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'm good with that. Just, let them come in at whatever is allowed by the state and by us. That's fine.
Okay. So does anyone else have any further discussion on this before we vote?
But can I read back the motion? I just want to make sure I have it right. The motion is to set the date of February 8th to reopen the library for browsing at restricted capacity and to open for computer access for people who don't have computers at whatever level is deemed appropriate on 1/25/21.
That sounds right.
That sound
That's
right?
right.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we'll proceed to a vote. Mira,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
David,
David says yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Demetra.
Yes.
Okay, I'm for it too. So we'll proceed along those plans. Sam, you're going to get on the Board of Health agenda.
Yeah.
Do you want me or someone else to attend with you? Or is,
I think they meet the next 3 Wednesdays. So
They meet every week now.
yeah. So I'll try to get on one of those and I'll let you guys know once I'm on the agenda.
I will be there. I can support you.
okay. I'm not, I can potentially I may not make the 13th, but I'll have to see. But I can try to attend if you need me or want me there.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So the last thing is the jackets.
Can I pause on it before the jackets? So I would really love to really think about pushing publicly in all of our ways of communicating, re-upping the all of our curbside, because even though we're allowing people in the building and within the next month, really we'd want to encourage people to keep going curbside as much as they can. And one thing that came up over the break is that people couldn't find the reader advisory form. They had kind of fallen off the website and fallen off people's links. So if we could maybe keep a steady stream on your Facebook page and the emails, just making those links really accessible, it would be awesome.
Will do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think along those lines, I think if we can keep up with more social media access, sending out more emails telling people that we're open for curbside and encouraging curbside and pushing the reader advisory form and the winter reading and things. Going through this with the fundraising thing, I would not be, I don't think we send out enough emails, right, to people, and we don't post enough things on, Facebook or Twitter or anything. So I think we should be sending out, email at least every other week, if not every week, telling people, what's coming up at the library and encouraging them to find the reader advisory forum and, and if you're having trouble filling content, reach out to, we'll help, right?
Not so much content. So I get stats on who's clicking on them. They're not clicking on them that much.
Okay.
And especially if you start sending them out more, people just start ignoring them or they start contacting the library to say, take me off your list.
What if we change the date that they come? Like we usually do the first of the month, right?
Yeah, around the beginning of the month.
So I know, well, this month's January, that Monday on January, the first Monday in January is hard. Most people get inundated, right? Mm-hmm. What if we shift that date a little bit though? Okay. Maybe a couple days before the beginning of the month or the after?
Or if we have even if we're not doing, if we did more things that weren't, in your face emails and more like tweets and, updates on Facebook and I'm sure we can get enough people to like and re-like and reshare and all of that happy social media nonsense that I know what none of it means. But we can get things out that way too, right? Even if it's not through email, but.
I have to say the library's main page kind of fell off my Facebook like notifications. It doesn't show up as much anymore. The children's page does. I know Diane's been busy working and posting on that one, but for some reason the library's main page kind of fell off my notifications list, even though it says show me first and all that stuff. So I don't know if I'll start clicking everything I see, but so it remembers you guys, but I think I need to retrain it and maybe you can help me by posting things.
Okay.
We should also make sure things like that reader advisory form get anchored somewhere so they don't, we have that like news feed on the page And some things need to be promoted to like a menu item or somewhere else, like the reader advisory form and things, right? So that they don't get lost as more things get posted. So.
And you guys could post pictures of like progress of the building just from like once a week or something. That would be cool. Something you've noticed coming up, changing.
So. Okay.
And I don't know. So along those lines, in December, my daughter spent about 20 minutes on the phone with Diane, just because she's read so much. I just felt she needed to talk to Diane, and that might not be something you want to offer. Maybe, I don't know, you could have appointments, talk with a librarian, something like that. But even just speaking on the phone, sitting in front of the catalog was so helpful for her to see the covers of the books and to hear, a little bit about them. So I don't know if there's a way to push something like that or offer that up as a service for people.
So I know I get the Boston Public Library newsletter now, and they have a reader advisory form, but they also have like reader like a Zoom with your local librarian type thing, so where you can call in and talk to the librarian over Zoom about what you like and get recommendations that way. So we can, figure out a staff member to sacrifice every once in a while to say, Zoom with your librarian to help pick out, a next reads with your Zoom librarian type thing. So, and see who wants to attend. So that might not be a bad idea to push. Because I agree with Katrina, even when we open for browsing, we'd still rather people didn't browse. So, so it's in your interest, if you don't want people in the library once we do open, to figure out how to keep them out. So push the things that don't help.
Is there a way to get information in the EHS's monthly newsletter so the seniors?
Yes, there is.
Knew I was asking the right people. I think that's another group that won't be on Facebook, but it would be a great way to get information of how they can access the library.
What group is that, Katrina?
The Elder and Human
COA.
Services. COA, yeah. Trying to think. And the schools, we absolutely should be sending things to Dorothy Malone for the administrator's office to be put in the principal's newsletters as twice a month.
I asked Diane about that today. She said she's been sending them things.
Awesome. Well, and it makes sense seeing as I heard about the winter reading program with via their classrooms this week. So which is great. But if there's other things like I know I saw the second grade book club on, I think it was second and third grade book clubs are on the calendar. Like those are great things to maybe push through the schools too. Although I'm not sure Jen can handle any more third graders. They're a pretty lively bunch.
Okay. Anything else on this before we move on?
No.
Okay. Well, I have one more thing moving back. The tree auction raised $1,721.
Wait a minute.
Very good. Very good.
How much?
1,721.
Do you know how much of that was the trees versus the books and the quilts?
I do not know that.
I need to break that out at some point soon.
I believe in a typical year, the tree auction raises somewhere between $400 and $600.
It's like around 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So. Okay. Nothing else. We'll move on to staff jackets.
Okay, so some of the staff have been talking about getting jackets from the same company that does the t-shirts. The jackets would be fleece jackets. I think I sent it to you all earlier today. They'd be zip-up fleece jackets with it's the logo that the Friends use, and it would be on their on the chest. And it'd just be a good way to show, solidarity among the staff, and also it gets pretty cold in the library sometimes, so the fleece jackets would help with that. And so they're $30 each. So there are 15 people on staff, so it'd be $450. If we wanted to get more, then we could sell them to the public as well. Maybe when we start opening, or I know a lot of the shirts was sold online as well, so we could put it on the website. So we're asking for $450 to buy the staff jackets.
Did you want to include some money, or do we want to discuss before you place an order? Or do we want to do jackets for patrons too? Would that reduce the price of the jacket at all?
No, I think they're already giving us a pretty reduced price.
Okay.
So $30 is pretty much the set price, and I think they're giving us something about the logo for free and some other stuff for free. So.
Right.
I was thinking, can I interrupt for 1 second? I was just thinking I would get them for the staff for now through the winters when they're going back and forth, always curbside, out the door, in the door, out the door, in the door. But maybe wait until we have our opening, because once people see the staff with the jackets and identify with it, when we move to the new building, maybe that's a time to create the buzz about, would you like to be part of this new whole venture, get your jacket, participate in it, and maybe sell the jackets on when we open that first week of opening, make them like a limited edition.
Slick.
Good marketer.
So
Yeah.
for public, I feel like these jackets are more of an investment for, usually with t-shirts, we buy some stock sizes and hope to sell those sizes. But these aren't just a $5 t-shirt. These are much more expensive. So maybe we could instead do a pre-order kind of thing if public wants that kind of thing eventually. I wonder if this is a better thing through Friends.
Yeah, have you asked the Friends for this? I mean,
The Friends haven't met yet. They didn't meet in December, and this idea came up in December. I think the Friends meet next week, or maybe the week after that. I'm not sure.
Well, let
I
me
guess
just say
what
that
happened was the idea came from two libraries, Bill Ricker and Lexington, who funded them through their CARES Act, feeling that those were items that the staff, why should their jacket get wet? Why should their coat, you know what I mean, get ruined going in and out? So they funded it through the CARES Act. I don't understand why we couldn't just do it that way. That's how it all started, basically.
can we still get in on that with the jackets, or is it too late?
so we're having trouble getting shelving carts through the CARES Act. So to ask for jackets for the staff is not likely to happen through the town. So I agree with Katrina that I think this is something that would be better to go through the Friends. I'm willing to, what I would suggest is, if we're going to do it, how about we say, approach the Friends, and if they won't pay for it, we'll front it if we decide to do that. But I think it really is something that the Friends, I mean, this is like something that's really up their alley. I would also suggest, I agree with Katrina on the selling jackets to the public. It's quite an investment, and I don't necessarily think we want to do that. However, I think saying that we're ordering these jackets for the staff, and if people want to order one, we can, fill out the form and, charge them $35-40 for a jacket, right? And, because we're not really trying to, it's more of a publicity thing, and we're not trying to make it into a big fundraiser, right? So, and just say, we're ordering these for the staff. If you want one, tell us your size and put in your deposit, and we'll order one for you as well, right? And I think that's a much better way to go. And then if they catch on and people want to do it again, we can say, do another order in next October or whenever, right? So, and I don't know if there's a reason that, I don't know, you can find out, Sam, from the company if you did 2 orders versus 1, if there's any difference in price, like after the Friends meet, place an order for the staff ones, right? Or decide that we're going to, after the Friends meet, place an order for the staff one and put out an order form for the public saying, you know, if you want to order one, we're going to order them on January 21st, right? Get in your order now. It's
A
X
limited
amount of
time
money.
offer.
Limited time offer, right?
Or is it something like the t-shirts where you can just order them individually? I know there's a website and they just will send, you know, one or two at a time. I don't know if you have to put in the whole big order.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing that we should find out on those, but we could just do a limited order right now and then figure it out later, right? Just say that, you know, plan on doing an order on the 21st, you know, and you'll figure out whether the friends are paying for it or us, and put out a thing for the public. If you want to order one, you know, here's your color selection, here's what it's going to look like, and it'll be delivered on this date, and send us your check.
I would think it'd be really good if we could get the librarians these jackets before spring.
Yes.
Right.
So-
That's what we're saying. If friends approve it, then 2 days later we place the order. A week or 5 days later.
As long as it doesn't take too long. I mean,
That is a good question. What's the turnaround time? But
For the t-shirts, it wasn't that long.
yeah, they were really quick on the and the bags for the readathon and things. They were quick.
3 weeks, 2 to 3.
is there a problem would there be a problem with funding it right now at this very moment? And then maybe the friends could reimburse us if they'd like to speed it up a little bit? Or am I just thinking too much?
So if you're going to open it up to I prefer that the friends are paying for this rather than us, because it seems more up their alley than ours.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, they're not meeting till next week.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Let's say that we are going to order the jackets let's just say we're going to order the jackets at the end of next week, right? The 15th, we're going to put in an order for jackets, right? We're going to order 15 for the staff, and then whoever else wants to from the public. We gave them a week to order. You're going to either know by then whether the friends want one or not, and our friends are paying for it or not, and you gave the public a chance to buy them, right? And all you're saying is we're delaying by a week. I don't think a week's going to matter that much.
The friends meeting is the 20th, so it's 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So
one idea, be ordering them
that I can, if the friends aren't going to pay for them, you guys are saying you'll pay for them, right? Is that what I'm getting from this?
That's what I'm about to make a motion for. If we can do that, or we can wait 2 weeks and then another week or so after that until we get everything together, and then it'll be the middle of February.
All right, so I can order them now with the credit card, and then we won't have to pay the credit card until the end of the month anyway. So by then I'll know whether or not the friends are paying for it. So one way or another, they get paid for.
Mark?
So that says we're not opening it up to the public now. Is that what we want?
We'll open it to the public if the public is paying for it anyway. If they're paying for, if we're giving them order forms, I could just create an order form for them to, and then they're paying for it too.
Well, yeah, you're assuming that they can order one at the same price, or one at a whatever price, right? Versus you're ordering 15, it's going to be a certain price. If I ordered one, is it still going to be a $30 price, or is it going to be a $50 price because of extra setup, right?
These guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
They won't.
I mean, you have more time if you make them 2 separate orders. So order 15 for the staff and call that one order. And then you can open it up for 2 weeks or 3 weeks for patrons. You don't have the time constraint.
So I would call them. Like, I understand what we're saying, but it feels like if we're going to pay for the $450, we could still take orders, and am I not understanding how the money would then roll in from patrons directly back to reimburse? Oh, because we have to fund it.
Sam's saying that he wants to order 15 now because they'll be here that much sooner.
Well, then when you take the money from the patrons, you'll have the money. You don't have to front it.
I guess what I'm saying is, can we
Forms.
open it up next week to take orders and then just close it? Like when a week time. You're going to get most people are going to order right away when they see it, and then it will drop. Can we do a short public time period? That
It
doesn't.
would also give you a chance to reach out to the friends and take their temperature for how likely, I mean, you can reach out to them and say how likely are they to be willing to pay for this as well, right? And let them know it's coming.
And give them a chance to order one.
Yeah. So say we would like to order, we'd like to order jackets for the staff, you know, are you willing to, or you know, it's going to cost $450. Will you fund it, right? Basically, and say we'd like to order them on the 15th, you know, and we're going to open it up to the public, you know, to fund them, to buy them, and charge the public more than the staff jackets costs, you know, by a little bit. You know, the public jackets maybe are $35 or $40, right? And see how many you get, right? Everyone you get costs the friends that much less, you know. And I don't think waiting a week to order them is going to make that much of a difference versus where you're at now. So that would be my suggestion. It feels much more like something that the friends should be buying for the librarians than coming out of the trust funds to me, right? That's just my, you know, that's my take on it. It feels like something the friends would buy as part of, you know, like their luncheons and things like that. It seems more like something that they should be funding than we should be funding. That's my opinion on it.
Guess I didn't make myself clear. I mean, Sam's willing to do it on the card. All right.
That we pay for.
We pay for it. Everybody go and ask the friends, and if they say yes, they send us a check for the money. Okay, and they paid for it. But he got to jump on it by a week.
So if I buy anything on the card, the statement doesn't come until the end of the month, and then I tell Susan where to take it out of. So by then I'll have the meeting with the friends, and I can ask the friends if they'll pay for it. If they say yes, then Susan pays it out of that account. If
the friends say no, then we're ahead of the game, right?
If the friends say no, then we're saying that we're paying for it, right? So
Yeah.
I have a little bit of problems that, assuming the friends are going to pay for it, or hoping that they pay for it when we've never asked them or given them warning. I don't think we should order the jackets hoping that the friends pay for it until we've at least reached out to the friends and asked them how, you know, even if they haven't met yet, there's no heads up that this is coming down as something that you might be asking for money for, right?
Can I interrupt 1 second, Mark? This was just an idea that came off the cuff, and it became maybe a larger than life item. Maybe it's something that we as a staff deal with internally, and we get a little group of people on the staff want to buy their own jacket for $30. It might be better to allow people that want to buy them just to buy them, because it's not a whole lot of money each. And then if, you know, at some point we decide they look good and we want to go forward and offer them to the public, that's fine too. It's really kind of just gotten like, Sam and I were talking about today. It's just like, it was an idea and then it became really a life of its own it took on. So maybe it's better to just kind of pull it back in for us, and we deal with, if 10 members on the staff want to buy a jacket, we just go forth and do it. And if people don't want a jacket, they don't have to.
So I would just suggest, my suggestion is just say, we'd like to order jackets. Talk to the friends tomorrow and say, we'd like to order jackets for the staff. It's going to cost about $450. We'd like to place the order on, you know, they're $30 a piece, right? We can offer jackets to the public at this price or slightly more. We'd like to place the order by the 15th. Do you think would you be willing to fund the $450? Yes or no, right? And if they say yes, you have your 15 jackets for the staff, and you have, or even if they say most likely, you can do it, and get the money from the friends, right? And then if they say no, then you can be back to we're going to buy them on our own type thing. My guess is the friends are being more than happy to fund these jackets, but no one's asked them yet, right? So reach out and ask them. I mean, you don't necessarily have to wait till their next meeting to take their temperature on, how likely they are to do this. And if you're delaying a week, basically, Helen, you said there's no rush on these, other than you'd like to have them before winter. So it's over. But I think waiting an extra week isn't going to really affect how much winter you have left.
No, it wasn't the point. The point was that it was an idea that we thought would get funded through CARES, and it didn't. And then Sam felt obligated to bring it forward to everyone, to the board, because, that would be the next venue. But it just seems like it's dicey who would pay for it. When we start fleshing it out, it's a little more complicated than we originally entailed. So
you're right. I think if you ask the friends, they would be more than happy to pay for them, would be my guess, right? So either ask them at their next meeting, or ask them, tell them we'd like to order them, and see what they say, right? If they'll give you like conditional approval beforehand, right? My guess is the friends, I mean, they're very supportive of us, and they've been very good to us, and I would guess they will support you, right? But it does feel more like something that they should be paying for than the trustees should. That's just my opinion on it. So, and you could tell them that you want to, you'd like to order them, figure out what the turnaround time is, and, figure out when you want to order them by, and, if you give, potentially, if you want, give the public a couple of days to place an order, right?
I do think they'll be funded. It's just which group will pay for them. And I'm okay paying for them, but friends should be the first place to ask.
Okay. I'll ask friends.
And you don't have to wait till the meeting to ask them.
I'll ask them tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm not going to say another word.
Okay. Okay. That was the end of the agenda. Does anyone have anything else? Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to end?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay. All in favor? Mira,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Demetra.
Yes.
Okay, so our next meeting will be February 4th. Sam will let us know when the Board of Health, when we're on the agenda for the Board of Health, if anyone wants to attend. Everyone stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.